If you're wondering, is the girl I'm dating a covert narcissist? Or is the lady I married a covert narcissist? Or is my employee, employer, sister, friend? You get the idea. Female covert narcissist, even sneakier than the male covert narcissist. Why? Because they said that there's no such thing as female narcissists. I do believe a female narcissist came up with that rumor. Now, statistically, there might be less women narcissists, but it's a personality disorder, so anybody can have it. Now, if you're wondering if somebody that you're really close to is a female covert narcissist, this video is definitely for you. I was requested to do this video, and I have talked about the female narcissist in past videos, which you can see that. I'll have it linked at the end. But this is in particular talking about the female covert narcissist. Now, first, let's talk about what is a covert versus grandiose, and why is a covert so sneaky. Then I'm going to give you 15 signs. Take notes, because you will run into somebody like this. And knowledge is power. So that way you don't get into a 25-year relationship with them. Or if you do have to work with them, you know what you're dealing with. Okay, so first, what is a grandiose narcissist? A grandiose narcissist is what most people are familiar with when we talk about narcissism. It's the narcissist who's very over the top, like maybe they're addicted to social media, constantly taking selfies, or like, oh my gosh, they don't have to talk that way, but you get the idea, right? They're very much like, oh, let me just take selfie. Oh, don't I look great? We're seeing a lot more of the grandiose narcissists, okay? Those are the ones that are very, very obvious. They gossip, they backstab, they manipulate, and it's all in your face, right? Even though you can still be taken by somebody like that, because all narcissists are master manipulators. The coverts are the sneakiest one. So what is a covert narcissist? Well, it's in the name. It's cover. They cover it up. I don't know what the T is for. Cover it up with spirituality. I tried. They cover it up with anything, really. They cover it up with, oh, I'm just, a school marm. I couldn't possibly be a narcissist. So they cover it up with all sorts of things. Maybe they're into charity. So that's the first sign of a covert narcissist, is actually they're the opposite oftentimes of what you would think of as a narcissist. So they're shy a lot of times. They can be very shy. They can be the opposite of somebody who's like, oh my gosh, I look so good. Now, they might think it, but they may never say it. Which brings me to number 2. They will often try to one-up you. So they'll definitely try to be the most charming, the most glamorous, the prettiest in the room. They're the person who's going to wear white to your wedding, some really sexy white dress or something like that. They're going to try to one-up you. But if they don't do that because maybe they know they can't, maybe it's a friend of yours and you're actually aesthetically more attracted than them. Maybe they aren't blessed in that way. And so what they'll do instead is really play up the underdog thing. And they'll be like trying to fish for compliments in other ways because they know they can't one up you in that way. So maybe you take a really good picture. Maybe it is of your wedding or something like that, right? And they're going to post pictures that are like, no filter required, nothing but realness here, because they're going to try to slam you somehow for looking good by planting a seed that the only way you could look good is if you use a filter or whatever. They're like the filter patrol, like they're going to do anything to try to one-up you in a very around the barn kind of a way, right? So that brings me to number 3. The covert narcissist is always trying to one-up, but like I said, if they can't do it in an obvious way, they do it in a covert way by giving you an insult. So number 3 is they're often very passive aggressive, very, very passive aggressive. So they will be the one that will give you an insult inside of a compliment where you're like, was that an insult or a compliment? I don't know, it stung, but you're saying it with a giant smile on your face as if you're complimenting me. So weird. I'll give you an example. Like I just took a drink of water. This is just at the top of my head, right? They'll be like, oh, that's so cute that you can drink out of a bottle like that. I just was raised, that's really classless. And I was always told that you should always drink out of a straw as a lady. It's just much more appealing, more delicate, but it's so cute that you can just do that. It's charming. You're like, what just happened? I think you just totally insulted me over something meaningless and weird, but they love doing that. Okay. Very, very passive aggressive. Oh, brown. That's an interesting choice. I could never wear brown. It's just not a feminine color, but you're brave for wearing it. You're super brave. See what I'm saying? So you get the idea. If you've ever been around somebody who's extra passive aggressive with all of their compliments are insults in disguise, there's a good chance they could be a covert narcissist. If you're on a date with somebody like this, they're going to put down your choices. They're going to put down your choices of dates. Maybe you take them to one restaurant and they're like, oh, this is cute. So you thought this was like a really fancy restaurant? No, that's so adorable. I find that charming because my last boyfriend would take me to, only Michelin 5-star restaurants. So I find it adorable that you think this is fine dining. And you're like, what? I just spent $500 on this bill. Okay, we're going Dutch, lady. We're going Dutch. You can pay half. You ungrateful biatch. Okay, so that's a covert narcissist. They are genius at giving these backhanded compliments. Okay, you get the idea. They always blame you. They will never, ever take responsibility, ever. So if you were on a date with them and you have ever ended up bringing up that was rude or that they were insulting the place that you took them and you ended up spending a lot of money or something like that, they're going to blame you. They're going to somehow say, well, if you just listened better, you would have known that that place is actually really triggering for me. That's the place where I found my ex cheating on me with my best friend, and now you're responsible for their ex's behavior, and you're responsible for all of their triggers. That is absurd. So now not only do you feel bad because you took them to this nice restaurant that you went out of your way and they were unappreciative and giving you these backhanded compliments, but now you're having to apologize because the reason they were so rude, if they take accountability at all, they were so rude because it was your fault, because you didn't listen, that was a place that was triggering for them. And you should have known. Or some other weird thing that they'll blame you for. Well, on the way in, I was just bothered because you looked at the hostess. And you're like, what? I don't even remember what the hostess looked like. I don't even remember. Maybe I did because I said our name. They'll somehow blame you for their bad behavior. They're really, really good at that. That's actually number 5 is competitive, but it's going to tie into number 4. So take notes. Okay, this gets complicated. They're very sneaky. They love being in competition and then blaming you for it. See, that's where they twisted into number 4. They blame you if they're in competition. Well, you're always competitive with me. Projection. No. And that's number 6. So these all weave together. Number 6 is projection. They project onto you all of their fears, worries, doubts, insecurities. So just like the girlfriend who's blaming you for how their ex treated them, the same thing will happen with a friend or a coworker or anything like that. They will project onto you either their past experiences or how they're feeling about you. So, for instance, if they know that they would steal your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever in a heartbeat, if it's a friend of yours, right? If they know for a fact they would steal your man or whatever it is, right? Your girl, they're going to project that onto you and be like, what, you like my boyfriend? I'm trying to appeal to everybody, but we're really talking about female covert narcissists, but I know that some female like female and whatever. So you plug in how this fits, okay? It's impossible to encompass everybody. But with the female narcissist, and it's a heterosexual relationship, then they're going to project onto you that you're jealous of their boyfriend or something like that if you're their friend, because they know they be stealing your mans in a quick minute. So 2 sides of this coin, right? I had a friend. Don't be jealous. I know. Every time I do these videos and I'm like, so once I had this narcissist in my life, I have had a lot of narcissists. It's been a part of my own spiritual journey because of my codependency and people pleasing. And by codependency, I mean totally independent to a fault, where I don't rely on anybody else for anything and they can just walk all over me, but no more. That's why I can talk about this stuff. That's why I can see it from a mile away now. And now I don't have anybody around me like that because I'm doing videos like this. So instead they're all just talking about me behind my back. They're like, did you see what she did? And that's another point, by the way. Okay, but we'll get to that. I digress. I need some water. Okay. So one time in band camp, I had this guy who I was dating, and it was like young stuff, right? We were like teenagers. And I liked him, and he was doing the whole thing with me. I don't know that he was a narcissist, but it was like this back and forth, like hot and cold thing. So he very well could have been. I'm not trying to say everybody's a narcissist, but he could have been. We were dating and it was kind of on again, off again type thing. In comes my girlfriend. She comes in all hot and she's all over it. She's all over him, seducing him and this and that. And she knew a lot about him because I talked about him. So they'll take seeds of information from you and then use it to their advantage, right? So she was taking all the stuff that I had told her about him, and then she used that to seduce him. And she's like, look at me, I got big boobs, hey. And so he went for her. And of course I was hurt, and I was trying to be actually really big about it. And as big as I could be as a teenager, right? Full of ego and like hurt feelings and stuff. But I had told her, I was like, yeah, it kind of hurt my feelings that you immediately dated this guy who you knew that I was really into. And even though we were hot and cold, and she turned to me, was like, well, Leah, he loves me and he never really loved you. So that should make it better, right? I mean, he's like really into me. He worships me. So you should understand that, right? And then she even followed it up with like, I can't help that I'm so pretty. It's actually really hard. It's harder than you think, Leah, to be as pretty as I am. I mean, people think that it's really easy, but it's actually really hard. because so many guys hit on me. And what am I supposed to do? I'm just stunning. I'm gorgeous. And that was her response to me. I was like, well, when you put it like that, I guess, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So anyway, then I started dating somebody who was actually really into me. And he had later told me that she hit on him 1,000,000 times during our relationship. So these people will come in all the time, and their excuse is that they're just better than you, or they deserve it, or they're prettier, or whatever the case is, right? The person loves them more than you. They just don't like you that much. And that's supposed to make it all okay for like how rude they are to you. It's wild. And in my adult years, I had the luck of running into another narcissist female covert narc. And she got a boyfriend who I thought was really nice. Like, I was happy that they were dating. And then she projected onto me that I had a crush on him or something. But I didn't at all. And so it was like awkward. It was like, oh my gosh, you're making it so awkward now, because now I don't even know how to be around the guy. And she was like, just admit it. My friend, her other like super big narky friend, see, they love to be around meaner narcs than them, and like even overt narcs and grandiose narcs, because it makes them feel like they're fine. And plus they look up to that because they look down on people with empathy. Which brings me to another point. I'm kind of bundling a lot of points in here, right? Okay. But when I told her I authentically wasn't jealous and that I was actually really happy for them and that he seemed like a nice guy, she was like, just admit it. Me and my friend so-and-so decided that you are jealous. And if you can't admit that, then we can't be friends. And I was like, oh, well, then I guess we can't be friends, because that's just not true for me. I'm happy for you, but now it's awkward. I don't even know what to do, right? So like the next time, which was the last time we ever hung out, when we were all saying goodbye, her boyfriend like gave me a hug goodbye, and I was like, like, see ya. You know, I like wanted to give him a high five, like, you, fist bump, because it like my behavior was under a microscope. Like, see, you want him. Admit it. Just admit it. I was like, I don't though. Okay. So moving right along, they will project onto you a lot of their stuff. I think you get the idea on that. Which brings me to number 7. Are you counting? I'm always bad at these counting ones because I don't follow along in here. I have it all written down, so I guess I will. I'll follow along now. I'll get on track. Okay, what is it? Number 7. Number 7, they're going to prey on your weaknesses. So whatever you're worried about, if say you're dating a girl, female covert narc, and you have a big business venture, they're going to prey on your weakness. So of course you're going to share with somebody who you love or you're dating, right, about insecurities and things that you're working on, like with your business or something like that. They're going to prey on that. They're going to jump all over it. They're going to say, are you sure you can do that? How do you think that you're so big that can do that? But then if you're really humble, then you end up not doing it because they've talked you out of it. But if you have the confidence to be like, no, I know I can do this. I've been doing this 20 years or whatever. They'll be like, oh, well, aren't you just egotistic? So you are damned if you do, damned if you don't with them. But they will try to burst your bubble every single solitary time, right? They'll be like, why don't you, dress in this kind of a sweater or this kind of an outfit? And then you do, and they're like, oh, what are you trying to get all the girls? What are you trying to get all the girls at your office? What's that about?